Why is it that most of the people who are against abortion are people you wouldn't want to fuck in the first place, huh? Boy, these conservatives are really something, aren't they? They're all in favor of the unborn. They will do anything for the unborn. But once you're born, you're on your own. Pro-life conservatives are obsessed with the fetus from conception to 9 months. After that, they don't want to know about you. They don't want to hear from you. No, nothing. No neonatal care, no daycare, no Head Start, no school lunch, no food stamps, no welfare, no nothing. If you're pre-born, you're fine. If you're preschool, you're fucked. You're fucked. Conservatives don't give a shit about you until you reach military age. Then they think you are just fine, just what they've been looking for. Conservatives want live babies so they can raise them to be dead soldiers. Pro-life. Pro-life. These people aren't pro-life, they're killing doctors. What kind of pro-life is that? What, they'll do anything they can to save a fetus, but if it grows up to be a doctor, they just might have to kill it? They're not pro-life. You know what they are? They're anti-woman. Simple as it gets. Anti-woman. They don't like them. They don't like women. They believe a woman's primary role is to function as a broodmare for the state. Pro-life. You don't see many of these white anti-abortion women volunteering to have any black fetuses transplanted into their uteruses, do you? No, you don't see them adopting a whole lot of crack babies, do you? No, that might be something Christ would do.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Spann Report podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Spann. This is episode number 360 of the report, and I got the homie, the fam. One of y'all's favorites, man. I got Cook in the building with me, man. Say what's up to the people, fam.
What's up, people? How y'all doing?
Indeed, man. Now, I just realized, man, I got a janky setup going on here, man. So I played that video, right? Cook ain't hear a goddamn thing.
I heard it.
Oh, you can hear it?
Yeah.
How you hear it? How you hear it?
I heard it.
Was it coming off my headphones, like in the mic or something?
No, it was like it was playing right through the audio on the speakers.
I'll be goddamn. Okay then, because I didn't know you could hear this shit. I was like, damn, because we was going through the little pre-show shit, and I'm like, yo, Cook, can you hear this shit? Like, nah, I can't hear none of that shit. Can't hear none of that. And I was like, oh, I got to figure this out. And then I played this because, you know, not only is this like an audio experience for those of you who are just listening to this via audio, but yo, man, people be watching this shit too, right? So I got to have the videos and stuff too. So the people who are watching this actually saw the fucking video and everything, and I'm like, damn, Cook can't hear none of this shit. I'm sending her messages and shit while this shit's going on. Like, man, my bad, man. I just realized you can't hear none of this shit. She like, and then she like, I can hear it. I can hear it. That's what's up. That's what's up.
And I'm looking. I'm like, damn, he did send me a message. I didn't hear, but I was because I heard it. Mm-hmm. But he made a point that they don't care about you after you're born, which is why pro-life people are full of shit.
Yeah. Because
if you cared about life, the social safety net would be a lot stronger than it is.
It would be. It really would be. And we're going to talk a lot about like kind of how we got here and like what can be done going forward to like keep this from actually being a thing. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about right now, George Carlin didn't make it perfectly clear. We're talking about abortion, and we're talking about as it stands right now, it is a draft opinion of a reversal of Roe versus Wade in the Supreme Court. Not only is it Roe versus Wade, but also Casey versus the Planned Parenthood. So we're going to talk a lot about that. But before we get into all of that, of course, I got to remind you guys how to get in touch with us over here at the Spann Report podcast. Let your voices be heard, man. So go ahead and hit up that hotline at area code 313-288-0485. That's area code 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemail messages. Of course, those messages will get played here live on the show and responded to in kind. You can also email us here at feedback@thespannreport.com. That's feedback@thespannreport.com. Go ahead and leave us those emails. And of course, those emails will get read here, replied to here live on the show as well. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My name on both of those platforms is Mr._Spann. So go ahead, follow me there. Chop it up with your man Spann throughout the week. And also, hit up our website, www.thespannreport.com. You can go there, watch replays of the show. You can vote in the polls when we decide to put those polls up. You can donate to the show as often as you like, as much as you like. And, of course, we really do appreciate every dime over here at the Spann Report Podcast Network, man, real talk. I would ask you niggas to rate the show, man, but y'all don't be doing that shit, fam. I'm in my feelings about it. Man. I was looking through my iTunes shit. I'm like, man, let me see if somebody like rated the show or whatever, gave me a review or whatnot. And I be asking y'all, man, every week, every time I put out an episode, like, man, go ahead, rate and review the show, man. Y'all be leaving your boy hanging, fam. Hanging. Like, yo, man, what a nigga gotta do, man? I'm not gonna be out here like Pookie and say I'll suck your dick, because I'm not gonna do that shit. But I'm just saying, man, what your dude gotta do, though, to get on the review? Because, you know what I'm saying? I feel like we put out premium content, man. I feel like we be talking the real shit. I feel like we talking having some honest conversations here, man. But y'all be leaving me hanging, man. Y'all getting this free content. I ain't even ask y'all. I asked for donations, but, you know, the people who donate, we appreciate y'all, because y'all the ones that let us do this shit here on the YouTube and the Twitters and all the other stuff that we streaming on 4 different platforms right now. And the people who donate, those are the ones who allow for us to do that. The ones of y'all who get the shit for free, though, like, man, all I'm asking, man, it don't cost you nothing, man. Just a couple minutes of your time to, like, leave a review. Y'all ain't hook your boy up, man. And I don't know how I feel about that. I'm in my feelings, man. Real talk. No, but we got some shit to talk about. Maybe it's the crown talking. But we got some shit to talk about, man. And so, first things first, though, before we get into all of the shit that we gonna really talk about tonight, Cook, how you doing? What's been going on with you?
I can't complain. I'm here. I'm still black. I'm still standing. Let me tell you something. Living is not for the weak. I tell you what.
Being an adult is not for the weak.
It's not. And I feel like I'm a level 3 adult. I've surpassed level 2, meaning I know how to sign up for a PPO or an HMO. I can read legalese pretty well, and I have a good grasp on how to pay property taxes.
Yeah.
And I can gauge how many withholdings I need so that I can have a good, healthy tax return. Just eyeballing on my W-2.
Yeah,
just
I wish. So. I wish, man. Like, I was so upset when I did my taxes this year. You got
to take all your deductions.
So check it. I wasn't able to deduct my property taxes. Trump.
He took that off.
Yeah. I wasn't able to deduct my property taxes, and I ended up having to pay $1,500 in taxes. Your boy was salty, because I'm like, yo, man. Your boy was salty. I'm like, man, like, y'all already taxed your boy pretty significantly, man. Like, I get it, you know, like.
But you're supposed to be in a tax bracket that don't pay taxes.
Listen, your boy, I'll tell you, I've said this on the show before. I'll say it again. I'll walk away from my job. I live off of 60% of my income. 60% of what I actually make is what I live on. The other 40% goes towards taxes and like benefits and shit like that. So I walk away, you know, I'm living off of 60% of that. But like when you got that going on, and then like when the tax bill come due, you're like, yo, man, so man, I done bought this house, man, and I'm tax, like, you know, you get all these benefits and shit, right? Wrong. Cause I'm like, man.
Wrong.
And then on top of that, though, my property taxes went up. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like to the point where my mortgage went up. Like the mortgage payment went up like $400. So when I'm looking at like tax time, I'm like, yo, man, I'm gonna get some of that back, right? Wrong. Uncle Sam wasn't playing. He wasn't playing with your boy, man.
No, but you know what? No
bullshit.
This year they got us. Listen, they got me so good. They came back for that motherfucking stimulus money with a vengeance this year.
So check it. I didn't get a stimulus. I got no stimmy.
You ain't get stimulated?
I ain't getting no stimmy, man. I wish I got stimmy. I wasn't mad
I
at the
got
folks who got.
stimulated
I
almost
ain't
a
mad at
double
folks who got
pandemic.
stimmy. I'm like, man, I ain't no hater. I ain't no pocket watcher like that. I ain't mad at the folks who got stimmy. Your man Spann didn't get stimmy, so like they was
No
getting me.
bullshit.
They was
I ain't
getting me
do
all.
nothing for real, for real. I just smoke more.
I'm just saying, they got at your man, and like it wasn't a good deal, man. I'm just like I walked away from tax season like, ain't this a bitch? And this is I remember like when I was younger, man. I used to always wonder about the folks who like wait till the last minute to file their taxes and shit. Like, man, why they wait till the last minute? I understand why now. Like they ain't in a hurry because they ain't getting no motherfucking money back, man. They're like, man, I'm gonna end up paying these motherfuckers anyway. Shit, I filed it on April 15th. Fuck it. And now I'm one of them folks, man. Like, I ain't in no hurry to file this shit. I ain't getting no money back.
I filed my taxes January 29th. I blew that money by March, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Indeed, man.
Because it wasn't like, first and foremost, I only have one child. So it ain't like I'm cashing out this bitch, okay? And because of the way my income is set up, I don't get earned income credit. I don't get any of the extra benefits for that comes with having a child.
Right.
So yeah, what little like that for real, that money is like hair money, trip money. Like I buy flights with that money, and then like maybe if I can get away with doing a repair to the car or my house, like repair something.
Right.
That's it. But yeah, like smoke the rest.
Yeah, but you know what, man? Shout out to all of my LLC people, man. Like, yo, what you need to do, Spann, to get you an LLC, nigga. That's what you need to do,
Don't
nigga.
forget to make it an S corp.
Like, yo, man, you could write off your podcast expenses. Like, yo, fam, listen.
Let me try it. I'll be like, babe, do you understand how podcasts work? You know this shit.
I'm like, fam, like if it was going the way that y'all think it's going, then yeah, I'd probably be doing that. But like, yo, I can't even get these niggas to review the show, let alone.
Like, I'm not Tabitha Brown, dog. Like, I don't know who you think listen to me.
The podcast is a labor of love, man. We're not doing this because we're getting paid from it. That's all I'm saying. It's a labor of love. We do this because we love doing it, man. But shout out to my people
because I like it.
I do this shit because I like doing it, man. Like, shout out to my people who are actually making bread off of this. But I'm not making bread off of the podcast. I wish I was. I swear to God, I wish I was. But I'm not, and I'm not mad about it. But I'm just saying, like, yo, man, I can't do the LLC shit that y'all talking about because, like, I'm gonna talk to somebody, man. I gotta talk to somebody. But
I was watching TikTok today because I'm a woman of a certain age and we're all over TikTok. And it was a guy and he was just, saying it, and I was like, it was so simple and common sense, but people really, he was just like, bruh. He was like, y'all trying to, it's like it's not enough, it's not that many hustles in the world. Like now I gotta learn how you said I gotta learn how to make money on Facebook, flip houses, sell skinny tea. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta do all these hustles. And he's like, I can't just get one job. And after I do my job, go home, spend time with my kids and relax and enjoy myself. And I was like, that's really what it's all about. He's like, he's pretty much arguing for universal basic income.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, people were like, oh, well, money management. So a lady came into the comments and was like, yeah, my landlord raised my rent like $1,100. And he was like, bruh, somebody come talk to her about money management. These people are raising the rent. Wages are not going up. So it's hashtag rent-free summer. And they're like, if you're a renter and everyone bands together, don't pay your rent for 3 months. He was like, let them know because they're out of control. It's just flat out greed at this point.
Yeah.
And the truth is,
that was another thing I kind of wanted to talk about too. Like, cause I haven't done a show in like a couple weeks, but there was a couple things that I kind of wanted to talk about, and they kind of went to the wayside because life gets in the way and shit, and there's that whole thing. I want to apologize to I want to apologize to like everybody who's been trying to buy a house right now.
Oh wow!
I really do want to apologize to y'all because I remember like when I know I talked about like my home buying experience when I was going through it and what I like the impetus of it and everything, how I even got the gumption to even want to do it and all this other shit because your man Spann was a renter for the longest time. And I remember when like I was going through the process of buying my house, and I remember I talked about how like when people talk about buying houses, they always talked about how hard it was to do. And I felt like the way in which people talk about the process kind of scares people away from even trying to engage in, but like, I don't know if I could do that. And so when I went through the process myself, I was like, hey man, like it ain't really all they like all this negative shit y'all hear about it. I didn't have that experience. And I don't want y'all to like listen to those people and not try, not at least try to make that effort for yourself. Right. So that's part of the reason why I shared my experience in the way that I did, because it's like, yo, man, like people are talking to you and like they making it sound like it's an impossible task, and it really isn't. And then like the last year and a half has shown, yeah, it's damn near impossible to get a crib now.
After the whole Zillow scandal, which they're not doing anything about, corporations are buying whole communities.
Yeah.
And corporations have a lot of cash.
Yeah.
They're not invest like if you pay attention to the real capitalists, they're not investing right now. There are no real viable companies. And if you're thinking of moving your 401k to Bitcoin, stop now. Like, please stop.
Wait,
like
that's the thing. People are moving their 401k.
They're talking about it. Like they're floating the idea. And it's like, for Christ on a cracker. You people are just like, when it comes to money, I can't take it. And you know the thing about, and I don't talk about it a lot, but I do have a finance degree.
Okay.
I don't have a Series 7. I didn't go into stocks. I went into the government and I became an analyst. The most experience I really had with finance professionally in accounts receivable, accounts payable, type deal. But I understand it fairly well. And I understand on a large scale how it's used and how it can be used. But for the life of me, I do not understand why people don't just vote their pockets. It's like, bruh, you're voting like a billionaire or a millionaire told you to, a blue blood told you to, versus how you need to for your $30 an hour lifestyle that you live, sir. It's ridiculous. It's out of control. And I bought a house in 2007. That was right before the housing market crashed to 2009.
Yeah.
And when I tell you it was difficult buying a house then, first and foremost with buying a house, it is always about timing. It's always about timing. You have to time the market. You buy when it's a buyer's market. You sell when it's a seller's market. Buy low, sell high. Yeah. And right now, this is a lot of what's happening in the market is what was happening in 2007, except they were giving out subprime loans to Black people and people who could afford conventional loans. So with this one, what's going to happen, you're going to have all these housing communities and people are going to try to get in, but it's really forcing everybody to rent.
Yeah.
And then people are going to be renting and no one's going to own because, owning property was like a good way to, save money, have equity, et cetera, et cetera. Having a house doesn't mean the same things that it did at one point, unless you time the market properly and it's working for you. If you bought low and you can ride out the highs and the lows because like if you had the full 20% to put down, or, you got blessed with a sizable down payment and things like that. So you only pay you're only paying your principal back or whatever. But, even then, even with buying a house, buying a house, the bank is the big house and the house wins first. So the first 15 years of your mortgage, you're paying your interest off anyway.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot of things people need to know and be cognizant of, but
yeah,
we
like
have.
I'm sorry, Cook, but I just want to apologize to y'all. Cause I know niggas is like, yo, Spann told me this shit was easy, fam. Like Spann was like, and I'm like, nah, man, this is what happened for me. I'm letting y'all know that like you could probably do this, because I didn't want people to feel like they couldn't do it. And like in the course of like after I went through the process, because I've been in my house over a year now, and since then, like I've seen so many different stories about how hard it is for people to like actually buy a home, and like now the interest rates are going up. People are like buying houses. When I bought my house, I locked in at like 2.75. People are like, now the interest rates on like homes are like at like 5% now, and people are paying 30, 40, $50,000 above asking. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot for people to have to deal with. And so, like, I just want to tell y'all, man, for those of you who are in the housing market right now, my bad, man. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this is like what's happening to you at this particular moment in time. I just wanted to give people like the information that I had at the time. It was time sensitive. That's what it is. It was time sensitive. But yo, man, it's been crazy. And I saw a story on was it 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes was talking about how like all these corporate like investment firms were buying up all these houses. They were buying up houses sight unfucking seen, man. They were bypassing inspections. They were bypassing appraisals, all that shit, just throwing cash at it. And then now they gonna rent to you your American dream. And that's how they feel. Like the people, like they feel as though the younger generation wants to rent. I don't think the younger generation wants to rent. They want to own their own shit the same way that their grandparents did, the same way that their parents did. But the options are not necessarily available to them in the same way that it was to our parents and our grandparents.
Well, the thing is that it's so many fucking layers. But we've had a Congress and a Senate that is just refusing to change. And they have you remember the saying back in the 90s, you all just going to kick the can down the road.
Yeah, they always say that.
We're down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we are
kicking that same can.
They still keep kicking the can, man. The can been kicked like a motherfucker, man.
Like it's dented. I don't even know if the can's still even like it's still a shredded can left for them to kick. But
it's like Charlie Brown never had the football swiped away from him by Lucy, man. Like Charlie been kicking this motherfucker for a long time. He just don't know it. But like, yeah, man, it's been crazy, man. But like I said, like when you mentioned that, I was like, yo, I need to apologize to folks because I know I said some shit and niggas like, yeah, this nigga here, bro. Like we ain't forgot. So there's that. But like I said, the main reason why we're here tonight though is the leaked Supreme Court. What do they call it?
The position.
Yeah, it's like a leaked decision like I forget exactly. It was like they leaked the shit, right? I forget exactly what they call it. It's like a leaked brief or a leaked like opinion or whatever. Mm-hmm. Essentially, the Supreme Court has been preparing to overturn Roe versus Wade, man.
I'll be a monkey's bare-assed uncle.
Yeah, man. They've been preparing. And low-key, like, the writing has kind of been on the wall for a long time, man. So we've been seeing once Donald Trump was able to like get 3 Supreme Court justices on that court. Once he was able to get the third one, especially because that gave them like a super majority on the court. There are 9 justices. 6 of them are on the conservative slant, right? Once they got that super majority, and they threw in, I believe Amy Coney Barrett was the last person before Ketanji Brown Jackson was confirmed for the Supreme Court. They kept asking them about Roe versus Wade, and a lot of the conservative justices that were candidates at the time were talking about how Roe versus Wade was settled law, right? It was a super precedent. Like, you know, that not only did you have Roe versus Wade, but you had Casey versus Planned Parenthood, which like reiterated the fact that a woman should have a right to choose whether or not she has an abortion or not. And what's been happening is a lot of those, when they were candidates, were saying, "Oh yeah, Roe is settled. You know, it's settled law. There's precedence. I believe in the precedent. I believe it's settled law." Brett Kavanaugh said that. Neil Gorsuch said that. Amy Coney Barrett said that while they were candidates, while they were out there trying to get confirmed to that Supreme Court. And like as we've seen since the Supreme Court has gotten this super majority, we've seen state after state start coming up with anti-abortion laws. Missouri has a law where they're trying to not only keep you from being able to get an abortion in Missouri, but they're also trying to keep you from being able to leave Missouri and get an abortion in another state. We've seen Texas.
How the hell they going?
Right. They really tried to make that a thing. Like we've seen Texas basically restrict abortion to a woman like being pregnant. She can't get an abortion if she's been pregnant 6 weeks. A lot of women don't even know they're pregnant after 6 weeks. And what I thought was the writing on the wall that we really didn't pay attention to at the time was like these laws were coming into effect because we knew that these states were making these laws because they knew they were going to be challenged all the way up to the Supreme Court. This is why they did it, because they're like, okay, so we got the supermajority on the court. We can come up with these laws now because we feel as though the court is going to rule in our favor because we got a conservative supermajority on the court. And what happened was with that Texas law, when Texas decided that they could limit a woman's availability to an abortion to 6 weeks, and the Supreme Court didn't step in to mitigate that. And then other states started copycatting the Texas law. What they were telegraphing really was they're like, yeah, this Roe versus Wade thing, it's about to get told, like we about to get rid of this shit. We're about to get rid of this shit. And so one of the things I think is important is that we understand like how we got here, right? How we got here. And we can go back all the way. We can go back all the way to the motherfucking like the 1980s, even the 70s and shit. Mm-hmm. Because I'm going to tell y'all this right now, and I probably said this on the show a few times. Republicans have been playing the long game. They've been playing the long game. They've been super hyper focused on the Supreme Court, right? And much in I would say in many ways, in ways that like the the Democrats and liberals haven't been. We only just recently really been like kind of focused on the judiciary and what it could mean for our rights and everything else, right? Because now our rights are being threatened. And so now because these rights are being threatened is why we're kind of hyper focused on it. I remember like in 2016, that was my focus in 2016. Like who gets to decide who goes on the Supreme Court, especially after Barack Obama nominated Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court, who was a centrist, like kind of like candidate at the time. Like people were like, yo man, you know, Republicans don't really have a problem with him. Liberals, you know, he's just kind of like a middle of the road kind of guy. And there was a reason why Obama picked that guy. For that reason, like, yo, nobody could really object to his being nominated. And they didn't even get that guy a hearing. They didn't even give him a hearing. They didn't have any sort of like meetings with him. They was like, yeah, man, we gonna wait till the election. All this, yeah, president having a right to, you know, nominate. Yeah, he can nominate him, but we ain't gotta hear this motherfucker. We ain't gotta even meet with this motherfucker. And they didn't. And then lo and behold, fucking Trump gets the White House. And three Supreme Court nominees come up during his term. And the tripped out part about it was how quickly the Republicans flipped on their decision to not hold or not to have a Supreme Court nominee come up during an election year, because Amy Coney Barrett happened right before the election. As a matter of fact, people were voting during that time. Early voting was going on while they were nominating her, right? And so this has been a concerted effort for a long time, right? So first things first, Cook, I need to ask you, like when you first heard of this, what was the first thing that kind of came across your mind? They can't hear the shrug, Cook. They can't hear the shrug.
My bad, y'all. My bad. Like, when I first heard it, I saw it, and I was like, a leaked opinion, and then it was like, oh, they were able to validate that this was an actual opinion that
was real.
And Judge Roberts was upset, as he's, you know, I think he's the lead chair on the Supreme Court.
Judge Roberts is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
Chief Justice, correct. Yeah. So he's over all the other judges, technically, I guess, in that sense. And so, of course, he's like, how did this leak? So I was reading a lot of the responses to it, and some of the opinions I found were interesting. One, they were like, it's no coincidence that they released it now because it is an election year. For most states, the midterms are low turnout years, not low engagement, low involvement, and that's how a lot of Republicans get through and get in, because they've gerrymandered districts to hell and back, so much so that the black vote doesn't even really, it just kind of washes out, when you do vote in a midterm. But still, here's the thing. The minimum that we can do is vote in the midterms. The truth is we're already very fragile where we are, because the majority in the Senate could very well be challenged by the House. We could lose the House, or we could lose enough seats in the Senate and they can gain enough seats in the House and we lose both. Like, I mean, listen. And then if they do get the House and the Senate, you know what they're going to push through and what laws they're going to make and what they're going to be passing. And the truth is, I don't think that they're stopping at this. I think this is the canary in the coal mine, because if they can successfully undo this, then there's nothing to stop them from doing LGBTQ rights, which a lot of people have speculated is next.
I'm glad you went there. Glad you went there,
because we're getting to them undoing the Civil Rights Act.
I'm glad you went there, because
and that's what I'm saving my energy for, because 53% of white women voted for Trump. Nah, that ship is passed. Fuck that. Yeah. I'm a part of the 94%. I don't have to do anything right now. And the truth is, as an African American woman, I'm sorry, but we get mistreated in a medical setting. Must be Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm glad you went there, because one of the things about this is that as this decision has kind of come down, or the speculation about this decision, because again, as it stands right now, Roe V. Wade is still the law of the land, right? I want to make sure that we're clear about that. As it stands right now, on the day of this recording, Roe v. Wade is still the law of the land. But going forward, it may not be. And what we've had is a constitutional right being stripped away from half of the population, right? A constitutional right. And so we talk about constitutional rights. One of the things about how this opinion or this decision was written, I believe it was like Samuel Alito, who was appointed by George W. Bush, who was appointed president, because let's be clear, he did not win that election in 2000. There's a theme. There's a theme here. Okay. Samuel Alito wrote in that these are rights that were not enumerated in the Constitution, the original Constitution. These are not constitutionally bound laws. So the laws that, like, a lot of the rights that we enjoy have been the result of Supreme Court decisions on certain cases. I remember, what was it, Brown versus the Board of Education was supposed to equalize public education for not only white kids, but for black kids as well, and Hispanics and Asian kids, and it was supposed to equalize education in America, right? That was a right that was given to us, not from the Constitution, but through a Supreme Court decision. The right for there to be gay marriage was the result of a Supreme Court decision. It wasn't enumerated in the Constitution. That became a right based on a Supreme Court decision. And so if the Supreme Court can now turn around and undo a precedent and decide against you having a right and snatching that right away from you, I want people to be very clear on this. If they can do that to women now, do you think that's where they're going to stop? You think that's where they're going to stop? Because I could think of it LGBTQ rights are on the table. You've already got activists who are like, oh, so we got this one won. Let's move on to the next thing. Let's move on to gay marriage. Hey, these blacks think they're going to be equal to us. Hey, let's move on to this next thing. Right? And so what happens is you've got an activist, like, as much as Republicans like to talk about freedom and getting the government out of your lives and all of this other shit, how much more involved can the government be than, like, yo, when you decide to go to your doctor and say, hey doc, I can't do this, man, like this pregnancy thing, I can't have this child. I'm not prepared to have this child. I'm not financially stable enough to have this child. My health isn't in a good place for us to have this child. The child's father isn't involved and he doesn't want anything to do with this child, and I can't raise this child by myself. Or better yet, both parents have decided we're not ready to have this child, and the Supreme Court is like, yeah, tough shit, you go ahead and have this baby, right? And so it goes back to that whole thing, like we opened up the show with George Carlin, and he was talking about how Republicans or conservative activists and stuff, how they act like they're so sacrosanct about the fetus and like the babies when they're in the womb and everything else. But like once that baby actually gets here, they don't give a fuck about that baby. They don't care nothing about that baby. So now they're trying to take away whatever social safety net may be set up. They don't want to have they don't want these kids to have a head start. They don't want these kids to have free lunch. They don't want these kids to be able to be in homes that are like, even Section 8. They don't even want you to have Section 8. So now the kid can't even have a roof over his head, right? But you want to force these people to have kids. You want to force them to have these kids. Like in many of these states, where there are abortion restrictions that are like popping up, because we've seen it. I think that at this point there's like 26 different states in the union that have had certain abortion restrictions pop up as of late, right? After they got the super majority on the Supreme Court. A lot of these states have, like, you know, with these Republican-led legislatures, are starting to pop up all these abortion laws because they knew they had the Supreme Court. I don't think they really understood how they're going to negatively affect not only the people that they think they like are going to hurt. Like you got some Republicans who feel like, okay, so I'm going to hurt these people because I've always wanted to hurt these people. You got some people they're going to inadvertently fuck with too, right? So take for instance, you've got, and we've actually had Republican politicians fall prey to this. They would go out and actively advocate for no access to abortion and everything else, and then they'll have like a side chick, and the side chick is pregnant, and then they force the side chick to have an abortion so they can keep it quiet, because they like what it could mean for their political career if the side chick actually has the baby and comes out and like the Inquirer or whatever the fucking news these tabloids or whatever come out like, yo, did you know like Jed Stevenson has a side chick on in Smyrna somewhere, and yeah, you know, and she's black. With a black woman, you know, and that becomes a scandal. That becomes a scandal for this guy, right? So he'll try to force her to have an abortion. But not only that, like I want to make this clear to people who like think this is simply a women's issue, because this affects all of us, man. Y'all think y'all are like inundated with like Facebook, like, you know, statuses and Twitter statuses and shit now of niggas complaining about the child support they got to pay. Imagine like the dudes who have had discussions with the women who are pregnant with their baby, and they both have come up like, listen, I don't think this is a good idea for us. We probably shouldn't have this child. We're both not in a position financially, maybe health wise or whatever. We should probably terminate this pregnancy. It's not the easiest decision in the world to make, but some people have to make it. And imagine you having to make that decision, and you live in a place like Mississippi, or you making that decision in a place like Alabama or Texas. Now also compound that with the fact that y'all might not have a lot of money. So you can't get to a place like California. You can't get to a place like Michigan. You can't get to a place like New York to have the procedure done. So what do you do? What do you do?
Drink bleach.
I mean, she says that, but like, yo, you know how many people are going to actually maybe take that up?
No.
Because they don't have any other option. They don't have the option, and so like
it used to happen all the time in the 60s and 70s.
right. It used to happen all the time, and that's part of the reason. And it's part of the reason why Roe versus Wade was even a thing, so that women would have actual safe access to have an abortion, as opposed to trying to do it to themselves and harming themselves in some way while trying to perform their own abortions.
And it was also the right to medical privacy.
Medical privacy, yeah.
So that also we need to really think about for these senators and these congressmen. We can now request their medical records and find out who's taking STD medication, who's taking Alzheimer's and dementia medication, who's taking heart medication. We can find out a lot of that information.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing right now for me, though, in this particular discussion is how we got here, especially considering that the Supreme Court is made up of mostly Supreme Court justices who were appointed by presidents who didn't win the popular vote, right? And so oftentimes we talk about left versus right. We talk about conservative versus liberal. We talk about Democrat versus Republican. And we often talk about it in terms of half the country, as if this is a 50-50 split. There isn't a 50-50 split in America. There really isn't. The vast majority of Americans, when you start putting down, like when you start talking about like specific issues, especially issues like this, like there was a poll done. I want to say Pew Research did a poll. Let me see if I can pull this poll up. Let's see. Let me go to. Hold on a second, Cook. Let me pull this poll up. Okay. So, according to Pew Research, 6 in 10 Americans believe that a woman should have an access to a safe abortion. Abortion has long been a contentious issue in the United States, and it is one of the sharply divided Americans along partisan, ideological, and religious lines. Today, a 59% majority of U.S. adults say abortion should be legal in all or most cases, while 39% think that abortion should be illegal in all or most cases. These views are relatively unchanged in the past few years. The latest Pew Research Center survey conducted April 5th through to 11th finds a deep disagreement between and within the parties over abortion. In fact, the partisan divide on abortion is far wider than it was even 2 decades ago. But the fact of the matter remains that the vast majority of Americans believe that a woman should have an access to an abortion. And so I bring that up to say that when Republicans start talking about, we represent half of the country. No, you don't. We start talking about the, just going by like presidential, like elections and shit. Let's go back. I'm gonna go all the way back to 1980 and shit. Go back to Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan run like popular vote in 1980. He won that shit. 1984, it was a fucking landslide. He won that shit. 1988, George Bush. He won that shit, right? But then you start seeing a shift in how the public was conceiving and receiving the Republican candidates, right? So the first George Bush only won 1 term. He got beat by Bill Clinton in 1992. Bill Clinton won again in 1996. Then the 2000 election comes along. We got Al Gore versus George W. Bush. Al Gore won the popular vote in that particular election by a little bit over 500,000 votes. Now, this is where we get the Supreme Court again interjecting itself into the politics, because the Supreme Court actually stopped a recount in Florida that would have eventually come up with Al Gore winning the state, because they at first had called Al Gore the winner of the state of Florida, right?
I watched that live.
Oh my God. Like,
I'll never forget. Like, I mean,
I will never forget it.
We did it.
I will never forget it, because that was the very first presidential election I voted in. I was 20 years old. That was the very first time I voted for a president. Mm-hmm. And like, we didn't know who the fuck won for like a month.
Like the whole recount thing was like people showing up in Florida, like going. Yeah. It was banana. 2000 was bananas.
It was so much shady shit going on because I remember it was Catherine Willie. Was the Secretary of State in the state of Florida at the time. She was appointed by George Bush's brother, Jeb Bush, and like
then
it was
she got like a cushy job.
Yeah, it was some real hanky shit going on. But the Supreme Court
also, like, I'm sorry, but they were talking. The Bushes were sitting around talking, and I remember George Bush made a comment on live TV, like, yeah, well, don't discount the votes yet. Like, we still got to take it to something he was saying. And his mom, like, popped him, like, hush. Like, you can't tell me they did not rig that election.
Oh, they absolutely did. And we got us with a slave name, Will Chambers here. I like how Alito mentioned the eugenics in terms of abortion as if benign neglect or some of the outright racist policy doesn't kill the undesirables of society anyways.
Right.
Yeah,
like, our children are still subject to mass incarceration from the time they are born. They're subject to police violence from the time that they are born. They can die in the hospital by the time they're born.
Yeah.
Like, people, like, it's laughable right now. There are a lot of white women beating the drum. Black women, come save us. And it's like, bitch, where the fuck was y'all when we was trying to pass the George Floyd bill for police violence? Where were you when we were trying to pass, what other bill were we trying to get done? We were trying to do the Voting Rights Act. We were trying to get that to go through. Where the fuck were you? You never show up for anybody, and you only care until it starts to impact you. So now that this is about to impact middle America, they can do all the heavy lifting. I genuinely don't give a fuck. I'm saving my black ass energy and my black ass fighting, all of that. I'm saving that for when they go after the Civil Rights Act, because that's fucking next.
Yeah.
Like you can't convince, like, when they're done knocking down all these other pieces. And also, too, what's interesting is to see these Democrats who've been, quiet and trying to keep the peace. Sooner or later, them motherfuckers going to have to pick a side and stand the fuck up.
Yeah, and we gonna get to that. I just kind of want to go through this timeline really quickly, though.
Wait, I'm sorry.
Really quickly. So, 2000, George W. Bush is appointed by the Supreme Court to be president of the United States, right? And George W. Bush actually got a chance to nominate. He put two people on that Supreme Court. George W. Bush put John Roberts on that Supreme Court, he's the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court right now. And he also put Samuel Alito on that court. Okay. George W. Bush did not win the motherfucking popular vote. So I'm bringing all this to say that, like, they're appointing these people. They don't represent the majority of the people. The majority of the folks who voted on these issues didn't vote for these folks. All right. So George W. Bush, he appoints these two guys to the Supreme Court. Now, George W. Bush did, in fact, win the popular vote in 2004. Now, why did George W. Bush win the majority of the votes in 2004? We were at war in 2004. We were at war. We was the second Gulf War that we were in. They were trying to find Osama bin Laden, and some kind of way we end up invading Iraq while we looking for Osama bin Laden. Now, Osama bin Laden ain't had shit to do with Iraq, but whatever the fuck. We at war with all the brown folks all over the world now, right? So we in the middle of that, while we're in the war, Americans are very reticent to change leadership while we're in wartime. So we ended up with George W. Bush for a second term. He beat John Kerry in 2004. Then we get Barack Obama. Now, I believe Barack Obama nominated and put on the court Sonia Sotomayor. And I believe he was able to put two justices on that Supreme Court. I'm forgetting who the second justice might have been. I'm sorry. I can't think of their name right now. It was Sotomayor and somebody else.
Oh, the other lady.
Elena Kagan. She
don't be saying nothing. She's real quiet.
Yeah, she's very quiet. But like Elena Kagan and Sotomayor were the two justices that Barack Obama put on that court. And he was trying to put Merrick Garland on that court, but Mitch McConnell prevented him from doing that because he said we won't give him a hearing until the next election.
Bitch ass turtle face hoe.
And then Donald Trump. Gets on he's elected. Well, he's elected by the Electoral College, but again, Donald Trump represents his presidency represents fewer Americans because over 3 million more people voted for Hillary Clinton. Right? So the person who got 3 million less votes was the person who's responsible for putting 3 more justices on that Supreme Court. I say that to say that the Supreme Court in its current makeup, with the supermajority of the conservative bent on that court, represents a minority in America, right? So I've been watching conservatives talk about how, they represent half of America. We represent, like we're the silent majority. It's all bullshit, because if you look at the trend lines of how often like they're losing elections now, this is the reason why they keep saying that these elections are rigged, because they can't win if more people vote. Right? They can't win. They are not talking to the issues. They're not presenting any policies that are popular with the vast majority of the American public. Take for instance, take for instance the fact that the vast majority of Americans, 60% of Americans, believe that a woman should have the right to choose. Over 70% of Americans believe that a woman should have the right to choose and not have the government involved at all. It's a very unpopular position that the Republicans have kind of staked themselves onto. And so the biggest thing for me right now that I think is a smack in the face of anybody paying attention is you have a Supreme Court who represents a minority in this country, who are making rules for the majority of us who never wanted them to be in power to begin with. They have maneuvered themselves in a way where there's a minority rule here in America. So yeah, and I think it's very important, that we use this opportunity. We use this time now to galvanize people to understand what these midterm elections could mean, because we've got, what was that? Biden may be president for the next 2 years. If Biden's president for the next 2 years, if you want another Supreme Court, if another Supreme Court opening comes up, say for instance, God willing, Clarence Thomas kicks the bucket, right? Right.
We have to talk about Clarence. We need to circle back to him.
But say for instance, one of them kicks the bucket, croaks, whatever the fuck, right? If the Republicans have their way, if Joe Biden nominates another Supreme Court justice nominee, if the Republicans have control of the Senate, they won't even give his nominee a hearing. They've already said so. Mitch McConnell has already made that a thing. They're like, they think that is their the Republicans believe that it is their obligation to block whatever nomination Joe Biden puts forth, no matter when it happens now. Before it was like, it has to be in an election year. If something happens this fucking year and the Republicans had control of the House, control of the Senate, guess what they're going to do? They're going to block that too. And I want folks to understand that they really do mean that shit. They do believe that shit. This has been this playbook has been culminating for the better part of the last 40 years. And so when we were going to the polls in 2016, when we were going to the polls in 2020, I said it on the show before. I'm voting for the Supreme Court, because just think about this for a second. They're taking away a woman's right to choose, which has been, the law of the land for the better part of the last 50 years. You think they won't come after gay rights? That suddenly we could roll back the clock on, gay couples being able to marry and have the same protections of marriage that a heterosexual couple would have. You think that they won't come after, or better yet, superimpose, now we don't even need fucking, training to own guns and shit. I'm a gun owner. I carry guns all the time. I don't think anybody should be able to be out here walking around with a gun and they don't know what the fuck they doing with it. Hey man, I just went on ahead and caught me a Glock, man. You know what I'm saying? Bang, bang. But they don't know nothing about gun safety. They don't know how to clean a gun. They don't know like the laws were like, revolving around, carrying a gun with them. None of that shit. They're not even required to know, because the Supreme Court is deeming like, we wild west out here, And so I want people to understand that like they can start rolling back all these rights that we started taking for granted, all these rights that we started thinking was like, that's my right. You know what I'm saying? It's not your right anymore, because apparently the Supreme Court has decided they can just start rolling shit back. Like your Voting Rights Act that they've already kind of gutted anyway. Mm-hmm. These states are already saying like, yo, man, so since we, kind of gutted the pre-clearance on the Civil Rights Act, man, we can make these motherfuckers wait in line for 16 hours. They want to vote, they'll vote. They'll wait in line 16 hours. They really want to vote. Meanwhile, their people ain't got to wait 16 hours because they have available polling places. They got available polling machines. They are coming after your rights. They are rolling back shit. And the tripped out part about it is the hypocrisy of it all. Mm-hmm. It is a feature. It is not a bug. The cruelty is a feature. It is not a bug. They are doing this shit. They have been planning to do this shit. They are advertising this shit. Think about this for a second, man. It's an election year. Midterm elections are happening. Primaries are already happening. Like, people are voting in primaries right now. I want you guys to think about this. For all of you who are in a position to vote this year, what are you voting for? Or better yet, what have the Republicans presented to you that you could vote for? What have the Republicans presented to you that you could vote for? And the reason why I asked that question is because they haven't presented a policy position on shit.
Not a damn thing.
They haven't presented a policy position on a motherfucking thing. You know what their policy position is? They don't have one. They don't have one. They said, you know what? We'll present our policy positions after the election. They don't have one. They're not even telling you they for lower taxes no more. You know why? Because they can't. They done already lowered the taxes for the rich motherfuckers. They can't even run on that no more. This is the reason why you got motherfuckers in like Florida, like Ron DeSantis, who was going after Disney.
Disney got his ass good too.
But here's the rub though, right? So check this out. They talk about Republicans go all around and talk about like, yo, we're against cancellation. Cancel culture is anathema to what the Republican Party and what they stand for and everything else. But yet and still, they will go after a corporation. Remember, like, Republicans used to be the friends of the corporations. They the ones who allow for Citizens United to pass and treat corporations like people. So they're treating corporations as though they're people, but only when y'all agree with us, right? So when Disney says, "Hey man, this legislation y'all got with don't say gay and all of that," I don't know if we're really with that. And so now the governor of the state is coming after them to get rid of their special dispensation to like run their Reedy Creek district as their own, and that's totally against what the freedom of speech thing was supposed to be about anyway, right? Because we talk about freedom of speech. Everybody runs on Twitter and on Facebook. They talk about their freedom of speech and everything else. But the only thing freedom of speech is supposed to protect you from is government persecution. Guess what the fuck is happening to Disney in Florida? But government persecution, right? That's exactly what the fuck that is. They don't give a fuck about your goddamn freedom of speech, man. They don't care nothing about that. So long as it adheres to whatever the hell they talking about. They don't care nothing about that. Like even with Elon Musk and Twitter and everything else, people are worried about Elon Musk and Twitter. I'm going to tell y'all this right now, man. You represent the power of Twitter, not the other way around. We make Twitter. People make Twitter. Black people in particular, though. Black people in particular make Twitter. If black people en masse left Twitter, Elon Musk has paid $45 billion and he got a less effective product. He about to lose some money because black people like, man, well, fuck this shit. We'll go back to Black Planet or some shit. We go back to our own shit.
And I doubt that he's gonna try to steal our information. It's already been stolen. So,
well, there's that. I mean, we've been willingly giving away our shit for a long time now. But, I'm just saying, though, like, all the talk about freedom of speech and all these things, man, it's like, yo, man, it's not about that. It's never been about that. They can keep making it. They can keep making these sound bites about it, but it's never been about that. And so, when it comes to this Supreme Court ruling or this draft ruling, so to speak, this draft opinion, so to speak, I want people to understand that, like, there is something you can do about it. You know what I'm saying? Because this is an election year. Here's the tripped out part about it. I saw something on YouTube earlier today, and I want to kind of know what you think about this, Cook. There was an argument made that because this opinion was leaked, that it could have been, leaked for different reasons, right? Had it been a Republican who leaked this, it could have been a Republican who was like, yo, man, y'all need to stand on y'all shit as a court and make sure that y'all don't flip on this, so that we can get these laws passed and allow for our state legislatures to start passing these laws restricting the right to the abortion, right? And then the flip side of that was if a liberal or a Democrat had leaked this, that this could be a catalyst to get people activated to vote come November. What do you think is the more likely of the two?
Well, I must say, when it's laid out and from that perspective, I err on the side of a Democrat. Leak their shit like y'all keep playing. Y'all keep talking about Joseph Raynell. Y'all gonna have to step up and come vote. And I don't, or hey, it could be someone who was just like they're just ringing the alarm, like, hey, they're really trying to do it. And I feel like they need to really hurry up with this insurrection information, because I really thought that was what they were building the case during for the insurrection, so they could, run it on a loop in 2024.
Yeah.
Which I'm ready for. But I feel like they definitely need to force Clarence Thomas to vacate his seat.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to force him to vacate.
They can
try to impeach him, but I don't think that's going to happen. What I think is,
well, with the numbers.
Yeah, I don't think they have the numbers to actually like force him to do anything. I think that's one of the things about the Supreme Court is that, like, they get the lifetime appointment. It's very difficult in order to impeach somebody up off of that court. And I think there's a couple things here, and they could work to the Democrats' advantage. One is not only this particular case and the announcement of this, because here's the interesting thing about this is that, like, when this was leaked out, Republicans were more so focused on the fact that it leaked as opposed to what the actual decision was, right? And you would think that Republicans would be overjoyed about this. Like, they've been campaigning on this. They've been like, they've been telling people that they've been trying to repeal, like abortion rights and everything else. This has been a thing for the better part of the last 50 years for the conservative right. Mm-hmm. Okay. They finally get what they've been asking for the better part of the last 50 years. And rather than talk about this victory, they've been telling, hey, so this shit got leaked. We should really focus on who leaked this shit and why they did it. And we need to hold them folks accountable for why they leaked it. And I think it's in large part because they understand that the vast majority of Americans believe that a woman should have a right to choose. It's not a popular position for Republicans to be out here saying, like, yo, so we put people on this court that we knew was going to turn this shit over. But at the same time, fuck, man, like, vote for us still? Even though we don't really want, like, so they want this result, but they don't want the credit for the result, which is kind of, It's like that Occam's razor, that catch-22. They want the result, but they don't want the credit for the result because what it could mean for them in the elections this year. Also, when it comes to the January 6th investigation, because of all their complicity, like we're starting to hear tapes of people talking. We're starting to hear like we getting all this cooperation. All of this evidence is starting to come out of how deeply embedded this coup attempt was. If Democrats were smart, if Democrats actually played the game in the way in which Republicans did, they would have this shit on as a constant fucking loop. We wouldn't even need a commercial. It would always be on the news. Now they're talking about they're waiting until June in order to start to have these hearings. But the only thing about that I don't really, the thing about that I don't think that they understand is that to the conservative right, these hearings, they're not going to even fucking watch them. And the only reason I say that is because I work with some white folks at the job. I work with some white folks at the job who voted for Donald Trump. I remember when the Mueller investigation was a thing. I remember talking to a guy at the job about the Mueller investigation. And I'm having a conversation, having read the Mueller investigation, having listened to the shit, and he's talking to me, having not read any of this shit. And he's like, "Ah, man, it's just a bunch of bullshit, man. It's just a bunch of bullshit, man. It's the deep state trying to bring down Donald Trump, man. It's not real, man." I'm like, "Hey, listen, have you even read this shit?"
Deep state. You love a deep state.
Listen, they don't care, and they're not listening to that shit. And so, what I think is important upon, like, is incumbent upon Democrats to understand is like, yo, man, you got a vast majority of this country who's not going to even pay attention to that because that's their guy. They don't give a fuck if there's truth to it or not. And it was interesting because I remember while, it's been a couple of weeks since I've been on the mic, but there was a story that came out that I forget exactly what organization it was, but they paid Fox News viewers money to watch CNN for like a month. Like they paid these motherfuckers money to watch CNN for a month. And like, as these folks were presented with, different information, suddenly their views on certain things started to change because a lot of the news that they were being presented with, they don't see on Fox News. They don't see on OAN. They don't see on Newsmax. They have an echo chamber that they go to, and they're not, kind of open to all these other sources of information. They get their news from their selected sources, and then they get their news from the echo chamber of social media. And so once they actually were exposed to some other news outlets, some of their views started to shift significantly, like 10 to 20% to some degree. So if Democrats were smart, if they were smart and they actually used some of the tactics that the Republicans used, they would have this January 6th investigation shit on a constant loop. And they would also trumpet the fact that like a lot of these Republicans who are like trying to run away from the fact that they put these people in office, like Lisa Murkowski, and I forget what that senator's name is from Maine.
Olympia.
I forget her name. She's from Maine, but like she voted for Neil Gorsuch. Susan Collins. She voted for Neil Gorsuch. She voted to confirm Neil Gorsuch because she believed that he wouldn't overturn Roe versus Wade. Well, goddamn it, what the fuck happened? And so, they got the victory that they wanted, but they don't want to take credit for the victory. And there's a reason why they don't want to take credit for the victory is because they know that this victory is a very unpopular one with the American people. And so I think Democrats, if they were smart, would put that shit on blast. Like, yo, these are the motherfuckers who put them up there. They the ones that confirmed their asses. We tried to tell y'all.
Hillary wouldn't have confirmed.
Hillary wouldn't have nominated them to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
she would have
nominated those types.
Yeah, she would have nominated those folks. So,
and she'd have beat Putin's ass on day one.
We tried to tell y'all, man, and I don't want to be the like, no, fuck that. I told you so. Fuck that. Told you so. And not only that, like, again, I'm gonna bring this back to like, I hate to be like the slippery slope shit. And I know my man Rod calls the shit disasterbation or whatever. But like real talk, man, like if y'all think they gonna stop at these women's rights issues, you are sadly fucking mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
You are sadly mistaken, man. And like, I don't know how else to like, really bring this to the forefront and make people understand that like, this isn't just a woman's issue. This is going to affect everybody in different ways. And so, when it comes to this particular Supreme Court, like, yo, they talk about this shit being precedent setting. Like, yo, man, this is probably the biggest decision that's happened in my lifetime from the Supreme Court.
True.
Like, for real. And the honest, like, if we being completely honest about it though, a good majority of folks in America aren't paying attention and don't even know what this means. Don't even know what this means. I think like, we because I podcast and because we podcast and because we talk about these sorts of issues, we're kind of in tune to this sort of shit. Unfortunately, I think the vast majority of Americans are just too consumed with everything else going on. Like hey man, I got to put food on my table, man. I got to figure out how I'm gonna put gas in my car to get to work tomorrow. I gotta go to work tomorrow. Like people are consumed with all of these other things. And like, yo, man, Supreme Court did what to who to what? Nigga, I ain't getting no abortion, nigga, man. I don't give a fuck about that shit. And like, that's it for them. But they don't understand what it could mean for them later on down the line when there's some other shit that they really do care about. And that really affects them in a direct way. And I just, for those of you who are listening to the sound of my voice, man, right now, it's like, yo, man, it's 2022. It's an election year. Make sure you get your ass up in these primaries and vote. Hell, I'll tell you this right now. If you are able to, because I know every state isn't able to, if you are able to vote in the Republican primary right now, go do that. Go do that. Fuck with their shit. Because they won't have any problem fucking with your shit. Go fuck with their shit. Mm-hmm. They gonna put up extremist candidates. Hey man, I'm gonna go vote for the moderate candidate over there. For real. I mean, if that's even a thing, right? If they even have a moderate candidate,
the lesser of two evils.
Do the lesser two evils thing, right? Like, hey man, so that JD Vance motherfucker, like he crazy to mother. Like we already know he's a cynical asshole. He called Trump Putin's puppet, and now he's like seeking his endorsement and got his endorsement. Trump endorses motherfucker after he called him Putin's puppet. Now he's endorsed this dude as a senator candidate in Ohio. Listen, if you are in Ohio and you're listening to the sound of my voice right now, hey man, vote for the most moderate candidate in that goddamn primary if you can. In any other state that's listening to the sound of my voice, if you can vote in a Republican primary, because I know that like depending on which state you live in, some have open primaries, some have like you got to be a registered Republican or registered Democrat. But if you can vote in these open primaries, vote in those open primaries and fuck they shit up. Mm-hmm. Like seriously, like these are some of the small things that you can do to kind of like alter some of the things that they really got planned for us, man. Like it's not a lot. It doesn't take a whole lot for you to do, man. Just go vote in these primaries, man. Vote in these general elections. And because it's a midterm election, I know turnout is usually down. 81 million people got their asses up and voted for Joe Biden to be president of the United States. And the reason why y'all got your asses up because y'all like, man, we got to get Trump the fuck up out of here. I need y'all to have that same energy come November this year.
The job is never done. And you're right, because they have been plotting this for the last 40 years and they've been very strategic. They genuinely don't care about public opinion. They don't even care to pretend like they're being true conservatives, because the truth is, what are they trying to conserve?
I don't know. Other than schism, I don't know what they're trying to conserve other than the schism.
Eroticism, racism, sexism, all the isms.
All the schisms is all they're trying to preserve. So like,
I mean, but for me, it's like, I don't think I have bandwidth to process it anymore at this point. Yeah. Because they've been doing it for so long and we've been fighting it so long.
Yeah. It's been a long and I think, you know, we always talk about, and like we talk about voting, and I know a lot of folks get tired of like, yo man, well, these niggas always talking about voting, man. Like, listen, like, yeah, you voted in the last election. That wasn't the only one. You got to keep doing the shit, because if you don't keep doing the shit, those rights that you enjoy, like now, they're trying to take these fucking rights away from even your right to vote. Like, y'all keep talking about this, you know, my ancestors died for my right to choose. No, they didn't, nigga. They was dying for your right to go take your ass to the polls, nigga. You got the right to choose a candidate, not your right to choose a motherfucker not to choose to go to the poll or not. They chose, like, come on, man. It's easy for us. We don't have it nearly as hard as our ancestors did. Not nearly as hard. And yet we come up with all sorts of excuses as to why we can't do what we supposed to be out here doing, man. Mm-hmm. It's a sad state of affairs. And so, like I said, I'm gonna reiterate, Roe versus Wade is still the law of the land right now. Don't mean it's gonna be the law of the land by the end of this year. And if you want to keep some semblance of that, then make sure you take your asses to the polls and go vote for somebody other than a Republican who is really trying to take that right away from not only just like you, dude, but your sister, your wife, your aunt, maybe your mama. You know, mama got to have a life too. You know what I'm saying?
Cousins too.
Cousins, because like this affects more than just the women in your life, man. It affects like again, I'm gonna bring this back to, you know, like it's a whole bunch of dudes. I see y'all, man. Y'all be out here complaining about the child support, man. There's gonna be a whole bunch of dudes out here paying child support for kids that ain't supposed to be here, man. If you can't relate to that, then goddamn it, I don't know what the fuck to tell you, bro. Like, I mean, go ahead and pay that bill, man. I mean, but yeah, man. It's. It's what? Oh shit! Stephanie's in the chat room. Hold on a second. Let me pull Stephanie up here real quick. What's going on, sis?
Hello.
I didn't know if you was gonna make it.
Child, I made it. Never would have made it. No.
Oh shit! All right, Shirley Caesar.
I know. Oh, I don't have no greens and beans. Hey y'all, how y'all doing?
I'm good, Mocha Minute. How are you?
Hi, dog.
I was looking in the comments. He was like, Stephanie's here. I was like, where?
I had to pull her up.
I'm here, darling. Woo. I'm not as luxurious as your purple wall, honey. Come on, accent wall. That's a sex room wall. I just want to let you know. Why y'all let me in here this late at night? You know I'm old. I'm one of them old aunties. How you doing, Spann?
I'm all right. How you doing, fam?
Oh my God, I heard you. I'm like, you better talk about this. You better talk about our ancestors. I'm like, you better say it. Because we are not our ancestors.
We are not our ancestors. We weak as shit. Our ancestors would have beat our asses, man. For real.
Y'all, our ancestors fought for shit. So that we can sit here and rest on our laurels. I'm like, do you know? I'm like, literally fought for every fucking thing. Please stop thinking that white people just gave us shit. They didn't. We had to fight for everything.
It was a literal motherfucking fight, and there's so many people who can't do the bare minimum now. And I think that's the most galling thing about this, outside of the the minority rule thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think about this particular opinion, though, Stephanie? What's going on?
Oh, I want to know who the hell got fired. You know that it was a reduction in force. Who got fired? Like, you know what, bitch? Guess what? Let me just let y'all know. This is coming down the pipe, bitch. Yeah, fire me, will you? It's like
somebody got riffed.
Somebody got froggy. I'm like, this sounds like y'all fired this person, and they say, you won't fire me, bitch? Guess what? I'm like, I'm 40. I've never heard of y'all saying leak and Supreme Court in the same sentence. I said, you know what? But the fact that it's like, you know, they've been hinting at this. 2016 to 2020, 3 Supreme Court justices, lifetime appointments. That is long game. And we're sitting here like, y'all, this is why we said this is a problem. And now you got other stuff. Roe v. Wade is just, I'm like, I feel like a doomsday device. This is only the beginning. Because now they can look at other stuff.
The beginning. They already have activists. I want to say I was watching was it? It might have been CNN. Yamisha Alcindor. She's on. I'm sorry, she's on MSNBC. But Yamisha Alcindor was in Mississippi, and she was talking about there was an activist that was outside of an abortion clinic, and he's been protesting outside of the abortion clinic for decades. And she asked him that, like, okay, so since essentially Roe versus Wade is probably going to be overturned, what are you going to do now? And Buddy told her, like, well, shit, I'm just gonna start, I'm gonna start protesting abortion. Gay rights. He's gonna shift his focus from the abortion issue to gay marriage and gay issues. So, like, the drive and the determination to repeal rights and to roll back rights that people have gained from prior the Supreme Court decisions. Like, that's what they're on. They're on this kick of, like, yeah, these people gained all these rights. We need to roll this shit back. We need to get this shit back to what it used to be. Well, I could, like, discriminate against a gay person and I didn't suffer anything from it. Because honestly, why do you give a shit if two gay people get married? You don't have to get married to another man.
We not asking you to buy anything off that fucking registry. We asking you to mind your goddamn business.
You ain't got to do that. You ain't got to get an abortion if you don't want one. But the fact that they are so adamant about you not being able to do these things, the fact that they're so adamant about you not being able to exercise these rights, is what's like so tripped out about this. It's like they want to impose their will on other folks. I'm sorry. We was talking a little bit about Elon Musk and the Twitter thing, right, Cook? So one of the things I thought was very interesting about that. Because, like, right-wing people were so, like, they were, like, giddy about the fact that Elon Musk was buying Twitter out. They're like, oh my God, Trump is
Donald can't come back, honey. Trump is
going to be able to come back. We're going to be all able to come back to Twitter and everything else. And here's what I kind of make out of that, right? Republicans and conservatives who claim that they have been canceled and all these other things, they call themselves making up their own social media platforms where they could have all the freedom of speech that they wanted. They got shit called Parler, Frank Social. They had what's that shit? It was like Frank Social. Getter was another one. They had like 3 or 4 different sites that they supposedly they can go to. They can have all the freedom of speech they wanted, but they were pining for getting back on Twitter. And the reason why they wanted to be back on Twitter was because they realized this. First of all, their ideas suck, right? Their ideas suck. Second of all, it became a circle jerk on those particular sites. If everybody on this particular site agrees with everything you say, it gets boring because you don't have any, you don't have any dialogue really going on. Everybody agrees with everybody, right?
Right.
And they started making this about this being freedom of speech. It's not even so much about freedom of speech, but the freedom to harass. Because the fun comes in the fact that they get to harass people like you or people like me. Like, yo, I get to say to this person, hey, nigger, you don't get to, I get to say nigger to this black guy and he can't do anything about it, right? You can't own the libs if there are no libs around. So this is why they were so adamant about Elon Musk buying Twitter, and he's wrapping this shit up in freedom of speech. All of this, even the shit with the Supreme Court, is about them imposing their will on marginalized groups. That's all this shit is about. A lot of the conservative, right-wing, intelligentsia, however the fuck you want to frame it, whatever they want to call themselves, because I doubt it's intelligentsia, but I'm just saying. But however they want to frame it, they wrap themselves up in a lot of this grievance talk, but y'all are some of the most privileged motherfuckers on the face of the planet. And so it comes off as empty to those who are actually dealing with some real issues. In
addition to the GOP I'm starting to believe it's a pedophile ring.
Oh, it's it's a death cult if you ask me, but that's just me. And I know that might sound extreme to those who are listening to the sound of my voice, or especially to the right way. This nigger is calling us a death cult. Well, goddamn it, that's what the fuck y'all sound like.
You know what it makes me think? Well, when this was talked about, it's wild for me to watch black people, one, be pro-life, that drives me batty, but being originalists. And I'm like, wait a minute. You mean y'all want to go back to being like the Constitution? You mean the law of the land where we were still bales of hay equivalencies? That's where you want to go back to?
Well,
you know, you on the clubhouses and all the social medias saying what you want. You realize that's not part of the Constitution. It's an amendment, bitch.
Well, you know, also, them niggas always see themselves as the exception to the rule.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the.
Oh, you mean that's for them niggas? I'm not.
Yeah.
I know I'm black, but I'm not a nigger.
Them niggas always see themselves as the exception to the rule. They always like kind of separate. Well, you know, I'm not those niggers over there. You know, so like, you know, if you
mean the ones in the hood, right? The
right,
ones
like,
that are on the welfare.
I live in fucking Brentwood, man. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, you know, I mean, Trevor's my beau. Like, me and Trevor like play lacrosse together.
Your bootstraps. I'm like,
yeah, you know, like I
will stuff
listen,
you in a locker, bitch.
My dad owned a bunch of cleaners, you know, in the inner city. And I've never known inner city life, you know, so that like they keep talking about the black experience. This has been my black experience, okay? I live in Brentwood. My dad owns cleaners. He's a cleaner magnet, okay? And so we've been able to live very well off of my dad's hard work. And, you know, if my dad could pull himself up out of that environment, God damn it, you should be able to do that shit too. And so, yeah, I don't give a fuck, man. You know, we're originalists. I read the Constitution, and I believe the Constitution is a sacred text along with the Bible. And once we implement our theocracy in America, we'll be all right. You know, we'll be all right. You know, it's kind of like those. Have you guys watched The Way Down on HBO?
Girl, Cook, do you remember that book? Do you remember the book?
I remember seeing that lady's hair on the front.
I said, OMG. I'm like, The Way Down. And then the intro playing. I'm like, I remember that Way Down diet book. I remember it. So I'm like, that's why I didn't know who the fuck she was. Because she looked different on the book than it is. I'm like, this is a shit show.
Yeah. So like
so good.
The black people who end up in a cult like that are the same black people who end up voting Republican.
Well, no, it was one black lady.
Yeah, she was in the cult for 10 years, fam. I ain't buying it.
It's like, listen here, Mama Bird.
She kept her head about her.
Yeah. How you keep your head in the cult for 10 years, fam? I don't know.
See, that's the thing. I think
she was in the cult for 10 years, fam. I don't know.
No, honestly, I don't think she was indoctrinated as heavily as some other people were.
Yeah,
who were involved with the church, because she still was able to remain outspoken as far as like when she talked about the singles on the pew, like a lot of women left their husbands. Like
she hollered at your boy,
you and whoever else sitting beside.
Yeah, she hollered at me on Twitter yesterday. Yes, she did. Like I made mention of the fact, like, yeah, man, I know she everybody's favorite because of the shit she's saying about the pews and her husband and everything else. But like, yo, she was in that cult for 10 years, fam. And like, she gave like this 5-part tweet shit. And I was like, all right, damn.
Yeah. Is it still there? Oh my God, I'm gonna go look.
There.
I'm gonna go scream.
It's still there because I was like, yo, man, she was getting mad at people who would talk about, you know, the black people who were in this white ass cult. And I was like, yo, fam, you was in this white ass cult. You can't be mad at black.
It's always black people in the
You can't be mad at black people for my thing was, you can't be mad at the black people for asking how you ended up in this white ass cult.
Honestly, I think instead of saying that, we can say culturally after Jonestown, it's like, what was you thinking, sis?
Yeah, but the hair alone, I was like, yo, man, like y'all leader, like you saw her hair, okay? And one of the, I'm like, come on, man.
Maybe it wasn't that way when she came. Maybe
but going back to like, even with that, like the leader of that cult was when she died, they were on their way to the goddamn Trump rally.
Yeah, because I noticed how they said political rally. I'm like, you mean a Trump rally?
It was a goddamn Trump rally. So like, I say all that to say, the black people who like are for this sort of shit are the same type of people who find themselves in cults like that. That's
I don't.
It's like I get it because Cook want to give her the benefit. Like we want to, but I understand. It's like I understand why. Because you like, sis, you embarrassing us. We trying to
Cook like.
We trying to throw
I liked her.
I know. That's why
I liked her. She was so likable. And the thing about it, I think for her, I don't think she was a part of the cult. I think she really was going to church.
Well, yeah,
And
she mentioned to me, like, she was like, yo, so like the best man at her wedding, like for her husband, was like a leader in that church or some shit like that, and that person was black, and they were looking for community, and like she almost like kind of called me. She was almost kind of saying that I was like victim shaming. I'm like, no, I'm not victim shaming. I'm asking, like, people are asking questions like, how you end up with these white folks? Like, that's what they were asking. Like,
and you know, in the documentary, she said she was looking to connect to her higher power and understand that connection. She was like, it just so happened these people were white. She was like, look, y'all, but I understand what you're saying, because I'm like, look, we can't overlook what these people were doing and what they did.
yeah.
And the truth is, you can't tell me that evangelical
Ism.
ism,
Them isms, man. Them isms.
evangelicalism, that's a cult too.
Listen, the people who seem to have gotten the biggest punishment out of that cult, outside of the 7 people that kicked the bucket, were the black couple that was beating the hell out of their kids. Was the black people that like they beat their son to death,
Bruh. And
like,
then the church almost helped them cover it up.
yeah. Like, come on, man.
Because they pay for the
They was paying for the lawyers and all that other stuff. All that to say, them the same people that go to MAGA rallies and they're the same motherfuckers. That's all I'm saying. Go back to we tied that shit. We did like a quasi way down review, but at the same time, them the same kind of niggas. That's all I'm saying.
But she did say there was a sizable black population. It's just for the documentary they talked to the 4 or 5 blacks that were in that particular parish, but it was black people who was coming.
I think was like, because historically right now Christianity is so white, it's like I'm not surprised, because you're always going to see black people there, because there are people who think Christianity in general is just a cult. I'm sorry, I'm reading her tweets and I'm screaming.
Yeah.
She's like, first of all, sir, let me tell you something, Mr.
It was a 5-part tweet. It was a 5-part tweet thread. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh shit. She was mad at me, man. I'm just saying, sis, like, you was in the cult for 10 years. I mean, don't be mad at us for asking the questions.
Well, I want to talk to her. You tell her she can talk to me. I'm not going to make fun of her. I want all the tea, honey. I feel like there's more tea to be spilled.
I should invite her on the show, man. We talk about it.
I definitely want to talk about it.
I should talk. We should invite her on next week. We gonna talk about it. So how you end up in that cult, man? Like break it down, because I'm sure I don't understand, and you could probably break it down in a way that there's no longer need to be broke. But yeah, there we go. But yo, man, Stephanie, real talk, because I know we didn't really you were able to get on kind of late. Overall, though, going forward with this Supreme Court ruling, like, what do you think people need to do going forward to like kind of mitigate what's happening here? Do people have an option, in your opinion, to do anything to kind of mitigate this situation? Oh shit, Stephanie dropped off. We lost Stephanie.
We did?
We did. Like, she just like totally fell off.
Oh.
Totally fell off.
I'll be a monkey's bare-assed uncle.
All right. Well, hopefully we can get her back on like before we. Well, shit, I was actually ready to close the show like after that, but come on, Stephanie, you got to come back. Oh, there she is. See, talked her back up.
Okay.
There we go. Stephanie, can you hear me?
Testing. 1, 2.
Hello.
Calling my dicks in your ear. You want to say what?
I'm not calling my dicks in your ear. No.
You're muted, Stephanie. You gotta
unmute. You gotta unmute the mic, Steph. Let me see if I can unmute her mic. Let's see. Unmute mic. Can't unmute mic. They chose to mute themselves. Okay, and she fell back off.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I wish I had like some elevator music for times like this, you know?
You want to say hi to Roscoe?
Yeah, I'll say hi. Oh, snap. His name Roscoe? You got your dog a human name too? Check you out.
Say hi, Roscoe.
What up, Roscoe?
Say hi. Don't lick
What
me.
kind of dog is Roscoe?
Like, what are you? You're like a little Shih Tzu.
Shih Tzu. Okay.
Not a Shih Tzu, but a Shih Tzu.
Okay.
And
like
a poodle.
Like a poodle, a poodle Shih Tzu mix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
he needs a haircut.
yeah, I was gonna say it looked like that nigga can't see nothing. He walking into all the walls.
I tried to cut his bang back.
Nigga walking into all the walls, can't see shit. Like
he can see, my baby he can see me. Can't you see me? You can see me.
He's like, yeah, I smell you and I smell food. I'm gonna follow my nose like Toucan Sam. Okay, here goes Stephanie.
I want to know, first of all, I only read those tweets. I didn't realize that if I read this tweet, she'd be like, who said it? Click. Let me turn you off your internet. I said,
Yeah, she, like I said,
she is ready to fight.
She was ready. She was like, because I'm sure she probably got enough people like coming at her just on the strength that she was black in that white ass cult. And I was just one of probably.
No, she was black in that white ass church. Stop saying that.
I'm just saying, man.
The thing about this is like, it seemed like it's a whole white lady and all them white men with her. That's a white ass church. It's like
it's a white ass church. Man.
I have to say, I feel like I'm in the middle, and I'm like, she was just looking for Jesus. I mean, she had to get through some demons to get there, but she was looking for Jesus.
Hey, man, I'm sure there's a mission.
She did crack me up though.
Okay, I went to college in Nashville. Okay, which is right outside where that whole story happened. I'm sure because I've been to them. There are missionary Baptist churches in Nashville and the surrounding areas. She ain't have to go to that damn church to find God.
Oh, see, I'm not gonna say nothing because she's gonna cut my internet off again. So
she ain't had to go there. I'm sure there's some NBCs in Nashville and the surrounding areas. Huh?
She did make me laugh though, because that young man who was like, they are crazy up in here, like he was a child.
Oh, check it out. My man didn't give no fucks because he was cussing all up in the church. He like, man, he didn't give a fuck. And I was like, oh snap, he was cussing in the church. He don't care at all. He dealt with some shit in that church.
I was like, I don't know what's going on. She probably like, these white people crazy. We need to get the fuck on out of here.
Yeah. Now I had a question for you before you dropped off though.
Lord.
I had real talk, like going back to the whole like the Supreme Court shit though, for real. I just had the question as to whether or not you thought that there were anything that people could do to kind of mitigate what's going on right now. Like, are there any options outside of like, you know, like what do you think that people can do to kind of like fight what's going on with the court?
I think offhand, I don't know if they can fight the Supreme Court, but I feel like you can turn the screws if they're going to make it like we're going to take it away federally and make it to state. I'm like, that means you need to turn the screws on your people in your state. But then that is going to be a problem too, because it's like we're going to leave it like, you mean like the mask mandates? Oh yeah, because we see how that shit turned out.
Yeah,
it's kind of like, it also, education really does help and actually understanding what really needs to happen. Like, baby, listen to your black political science people who literally do this shit all the time. Listen to people who actually do the research. I'm like, the bad part about it is our system is very fucked up and it's set up to be fucked up to everybody who is not white, Protestant, and born on this land. How and ever, there's a loophole to a lot of shit that they don't want you to know because they know it's a loophole and they don't want you to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, it can't be, it's like, we don't want to be doom and gloom, but we're like, baby, you got to educate yourself. And they have been hinting at this for at least the last 18 months. We're going to get rid of this shit. We're going to get rid of it.
With all these little state laws coming up and they didn't even bother like
it's like, you don't think like what they're saying, they're like, what are y'all talking about? Because it's like that whole, like, unless it's saving a woman's life. And let's be very clear, that's debatable. Like, do you really need what? You need both lungs? I mean, really?
Some of these states aren't even giving you that mitigation. some of these states are like, you know, like even like in cases of rape or incest, like, well, shit, she just got to have that baby. We don't give a fuck about her being raped or if it was her daddy's baby. Like, they don't care about none of that.
In addition to your rapist potentially getting visitation and parental rights.
Parental, I was like, girl, well, I was in the clubhouse room today. And it was moderated by black people. And I'm like, it's black people. I sound like Mama Bird going to that way down church. I'm like, it's Christians in here.
Not Mama Bird. Mama Bird.
I'm walking in like these black people, and then I listen to these moderators with the green beans. They are pro-lifers, and one of these ladies, yes, I said ladies, said out her mouth, well, she chose to get pregnant when she lay down and have sex, and I'm like, so that is not what we're doing right now. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah. It's like literally like if you have sex, I'm like, hey, hi. If I get in a car and get into an accident, and something happens to me, or I say, oh well, you knew you got in the car, you knew an accident could have happened, bitch. What?
Yeah.
It's like, what is wrong with y'all? And also, I need to know who leaked this. I'm like, they fired you, bitch, didn't they?
Yeah, it probably was somebody that got fired. But you know what though? Like I said, I like what you said as far as like, you know, voting locally, because understand that like a lot of these laws were coming up on a state level, so that they could send these up to the Supreme Court, because because again they knew that they could challenge this in the Supreme Court, because they felt like the Supreme Court had a supermajority of conservatives and that they would pass likely. And so you know, they did this in preparation to overturn Roe versus Wade. I think, like, honestly, I really feel like a lot of these state legislatures were like, I think they feel like this particular thing was like they overshot. Like, wait, we fucking won?
It's like, oh, I don't have to do this much work. I'm like,
yeah, like wait a minute, they actually like we wanted them to do this shit, but like they actually did the shit.
They did it. It's like, oh, this is just Southern shit. I mean, y'all just do it in Southern because y'all know y'all backwards anyway, right?
Yeah, and it goes back to kind of what we were talking about earlier. Me and Cook was like they're not really like a lot of the Republican politicians aren't really celebrating the fact that they got this victory. They're more so concerned about the fact that like the opinion was leaked. And because they don't want to be associated with this win, because they understand how popular this particular, right is, that the vast majority of Americans want a woman to have a right to choose, that they want them to have the ability to have access to a safe abortion. And so they don't want to be attached to that. This is a victory for them, but they don't want to be attached to their victory. And so they want to focus on the fact that the shit got leaked, as opposed to like, yo, so we really did like take a right from y'all.
Successfully.
Yeah.
Successfully. And it's like, it was so easy. It's like 3 Supreme Court justices, a position that has a lifetime appointment. You got 3 people in there in 4 years.
Yep.
It's like, it's like long game. In a horrible way. And if you think they stopping with one, or they're like, I mean, y'all niggers don't need to be here with us. I mean, y'all can have, separate but equal, right?
Stephanie hit y'all with the hard ER, okay?
Yes.
I heard that.
Because that's how this feels right now.
I heard that shit. She hit y'all with the hard ER.
It's the hard one. Because, because some of y'all acting like some niggers right now, and I need y'all to stop.
Ooh, that shit.
Y'all need to start acting like Mama Bird. Look here, I went there.
Not Mama Bird.
I went there for Easter service.
Not Mama Bird.
And 7 last words, and that's all I went to. And then y'all put me in the fucking camera, girl. I only came like 10 years, 7 services, baby. That's all I did. But y'all call me up because I'm black.
Mama Bird, I'm gonna hit her back up on Twitter like, okay, Mama Bird, I'm sorry.
See, and it's like, Lord.
My bad.
Lord.
If you want to fight with her, just say that. If you want,
I'm not gonna fight with that lady.
No.
I'm not about to be on Twitter fighting with that lady, man. That lady.
Please don't, because
I don't need them problems, man. I really don't.
Can you have it? Look, all of a sudden it's like Spann is problematic.
I don't. They about to cancel me and forget every motherfucking thing I said, man. Like, fuck all that. I don't need them problems, man.
But who knows what the hell? Because I just watched Wade. I know about it last year, so I can only imagine what the hell happened.
Yeah, I mean, I watched a little bit of it earlier this year, and then like there was another episode, like the last episode. They like to be continued this shit, and then like I saw some of the last, and like that was the shit that was kind of trending when I was speaking on it on Twitter this weekend, and so like, I'm like, yo man, like everybody like I know she a fave right now, but like yo. She can't be mad at people like asking like how you ended up in this white ass coat, and then like she responded to me I'm like, oh shit, she really talking to me. And
she hit you with a churchy first of all, but most of all,
she hit me with the bless your heart. You know what I'm saying? Like she gave me the church cussing out. You know what I'm saying? So,
I was like,
I'm like, all right, man, I ain't gonna.
Wait, I
even
feel like
say
she
nothing.
popped you with a glue stick. See,
Yeah,
I
I'm
have
like-
watched this, y'all. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I ain't gonna even say nothing, man.
They
I'm like,
did beat them kids with glue sticks.
When she
Man.
said it, I was like, wait, what is she? I'm like, how you hit somebody with an Elmer's glue stick? And I'm like, what the fuck is she talking about?
mm-hmm.
Tacky, just tacky and trash.
Whew. Not
Them-
even like a switch. Y'all got all them trees and y'all hitting people with glue sticks.
Mm-hmm. Them her people though, you know. I'm just saying. But yo, I appreciate y'all for coming through and fucking with your boy though. Like I didn't like I was gonna like I really was gonna like get on here on the mic and talk this shit by myself. But it also I'm glad that you guys came on to talk this shit with me because like honestly, like I be feeling low key, your boy be feeling a little awkward talking about these issues only because this isn't necessarily an issue that, you know, men usually talk about. And oftentimes we probably should just shut the fuck up and listen to the women around us and allow the women to talk about that. So I appreciate y'all giving me the room and the space to like to have an opinion on this, but also like to talk about this real talk. Cause like I said before, I know this is a women's issue, but I feel like, yo, this is going to affect a lot more people than just women. And I don't think a lot of dudes understand what this can mean for them. And also like the amount of rights that could be taken away from all of us and how they're pursuing the systematic erosion of our civil rights. And this is just like, you know, like that canary in the coal mine shit where like, okay, this is one thing that they're coming after. This doesn't mean it's going to be the last thing that they're coming after. And I want people to be aware of what's going on. And I appreciate y'all for like having this discussion with me. Real talk. Thank you, fam.
Of course.
I am
Appreciate
glad
you.
I'm part of it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, because
All
it's
right.
like, it was like, because one, I understand your trepidation about it, Spann, because you're like, should I be the one talking about this? It was like, look, I'm tired of seeing like child support wars on the Twitter. And they're like, we have these rights. And y'all like, it skins me. I'm like, so if you take away the rights, you know y'all just gonna have to talk louder. Because y'all gonna be more mad.
Yeah.
I just think that the level of whining is going to increase exponentially, and just buckle up. Like I said, I'm saving my energy for the Civil Rights Act and any of the other acts that impact me personally.
Because it's on the way.
Yeah,
If
I don't
things-
trust them.
If things keep trending the way that they are, that shit is on the way. The repeal of a lot of that shit is on the way. So
Yeah.
I just really want people to be aware and understand what's at stake here. But yo, man, before we get out of here, let everybody know how they get in touch with you, fam.
You can get in touch with me on IG at highly inappropriate _Spann.
Okay.
I'm still Spann.
Shout out to the Spann app, fam.
Not the Spann.
Hey, she on the Spann network, baby. Okay, Spann app, baby.
Spann.
Gang.
Gang, gang. And new episodes coming soon. I'm back in school, like I was telling Spann, and I've been doing some things with the family. So as soon
Who
as
are these
I
niggas? We need to stay away from these niggas.
My
Stay
bad.
away from these niggas.
My bad. That was the wrong one. I had the air horns ready for you, fam. I was like, beer, 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 and that was the wrong one. My bad. I'm so sorry, fam. I'm so sorry. I wanted to play the air horns for you. I did. That was the wrong one.
play them now, please.
I don't know which one it is. Let me see. Hold on.
Yes!
That shit broke, man. They wasn't supposed to do it like that. That shit-
That's how I do
cannot.
it.
There we go.
OMG. I cannot. I was not prepared. If you asked me were you prepared, I'd be like, girl, no, I was not.
Oh, man.
That's a life lesson. Stay away from these niggas.
Oh, man.
Oh my God.
Oh, someone named Roscoe in the chat. So's my
Oh,
dog.
that's my
Hey.
father-in-law. That's my
Hello,
father-in-law.
hello.
Roscoe.
Hi, Mr.
Hey,
Smith.
Roscoe.
What's
Hi,
up,
Mr.
Pops?
Roscoe. Come on, Papa Rosk. How you doing?
Hold on. Horatio's in the chat room. He's a Spann network stayed on longer than CNN Plus. Hey, man. Hey, man. I'm just saying.
The shade of CNN Plus. It's like,
and I ain't had 300 million to lose either. So there's that. You know.
Blue.
There's that. There we go.
Blue,
Yo,
blue.
Stephanie, let everybody know how they can get in touch with you, fam.
Oh, well, I would say tonight is the first night back on the mic. You can find the Mocha Minutes podcast. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Mocha Minutes is the handle. New episode after 3 months coming on Thursday. You will hear Clicky Pop very, very soon. Spann coming soon. June is coming.
Indeed.
But yeah, back here. I feel like riding a bike. The life been life,
like
and grief has been griefing.
So. Yeah, it is like kind of riding like riding a bike. I like it. I love it. It's a whole thing. Yo,
Life be lifing.
Life be lifing.
Life be lifing out here, man. But yeah, man, we gonna get on up out of here. Y'all know how to get in touch with your boy, man. I ain't gonna keep repeating that shit, man. Nah, for real,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Yeah. Go ahead and hit up the hotline, area code 313-288-0485. That's 313-288-0485. Leave those voicemails, and we'll replay those voicemails and respond to them live on the show. Email me here is feedback@thespinreport.com. That's feedback@thespinreport.com. Go to the website, watch replays of the show, vote in the polls. We put those polls up. Donate to the show as often as you like, as much as you like, and we appreciate that money when y'all send that money in. Real talk. And like, yo, I don't want to come across like a nigga begging, but like them reviews kind of help, fam. Them reviews kind of help, man. We been out here dry, baby. We been out here looking like the fucking Sahara, man. Y'all can't have your boy out here like that, man. Y'all, my reviews are looking as dry as this cup.
Oh my God.
Looking as empty as this cup right now. And I need y'all to like help me out, man. Fill my cup up with reviews, man. Fill me up. You know what I'm saying? Like, this cup ain't even half empty. This bitch is empty. You know what I'm saying? That's how my reviews been. Empty. I need y'all to go ahead and like review your boy, man. Let me know what y'all thinking out here, man. You know, because the people that don't fuck with me are letting me know. You know what I'm saying? Old girl on the way down, she letting me know she don't fuck with me.
She got 5 whole tweets.
I'm saying,
and she got bullets.
She letting me
got
know.
bullet points.
So I'm just saying, the people that love and fuck with your boy and fuck with the Spann Report, man.
I gotta go look at that too.
Let us know, man. Let us know, man.
Don't look at it. It'll shut down your internet. That's what happened to me.
Get us a review, man.
She wiping people's IPs off
I
the
swear.
off the
I swear.
Oh, I was like, damn, what the hell?
Yeah, man. So we
Oh,
gonna
Spann.
it's
Spann
been
V
a time.
Bird, child. That's going to the Supreme
Nah, it ain't about to be no
Court.
V because I ain't fighting with that lady. I ain't doing that. That woman been in the cult. I'm straight. I don't need them kind of problems. But yo, we gonna get on up out of here. We will talk to you guys again soon. But until next time, fam. Peace.
Peace.